Welcome back to Race Review. Today we're reviewing a highly requested race between the Southampton first team and the Southampton second team. We've got the first team in red, we've got the second team in blue. This is a grudge match. This is a second team that really wants to beat the first team and prove their worth. We're at Spinnaker in February in the BUSA Qualifiers, and you can see we've got some light, shifty conditions, and we're setting up with about 3 minutes to go, just under 3 minutes to go. And we've got the blue boats just cycling back round towards the committee boat, and we've got the red boats coming over the top. Now, in this race, there's lots of really interesting things that happens, and there's some great learning points from the things that these teams do. So we're going to have a watch of this race and see what takeaways we can get from it. Now we can see we've got one pair of boats, a blue and a red boat, heading far away to the line towards us, and then we've got two blue boats tacking onto two red boats, and they're going to be pairing up, trying to get into this situation where they can take control of their pairs and lead in towards the line in these light conditions. Now, in this battle to get control of these boats, I think that no one is really looking over their shoulder enough. We can see that the wind has gone a bit left, which is why all of these boats are setting up so high, because they want to be above their ley lines. And when you've got shifty conditions, you're going to need to build in a bit more buffer for that. But they don't look and they don't see all of these boats coming down on the run because they're so much higher than normal. They're mixed into the course. They're in between marks 3 and 4, and they're not looking and thinking about how they can maneuver through these boats and get back towards the start line. And so you can see here it's going to be a bit harder than they expect, and that all their hard work to pair up hasn't necessarily paid off, because now they're splitting away from these boats. Those red boats are going to have to go super high over the top of those pink boats to get round and get back towards the start. Now we've got a red and blue pair on the far left who are going quite slowly. They're really low. We've got less than 1 minute to go now, so they are not looking fast and not in a great place. There's not enough wind to get moving towards the line, and they're probably below their ley line. But that blue boat carries on pushing underneath, trying to get a kind of luff or something, but they don't quite have the space. And I would say that both of those boats are rocking slightly. You can see that there, so they're in danger of a Rule 42 penalty. The red and blue boats have finally got over all of those other boats in a different race, and they're coming down towards the start line in this scrappy start. And with just a few seconds to go, it looks like most of the boats are going to be late, especially those boats at the back. And as we're watching there, they're heading up towards go. We've got two boats a long way back, and we can see, in fact, on the far left of the screen, an umpire holding up a red flag and giving a Rule 42 spin to that blue boat who we mentioned earlier, who was rocking a bit. And the other boats are off over the line, with one blue boat from the University of Southampton second team in first place, holding out a red boat. And then in third place, we've got another University of Southampton second team in a blue boat, covering two red boats. So it's looking like a 1-3-6 for the second team in blue, and a 2-4-5 for the first team in red. Now that boat in 2 is trying to tack underneath. They're trying to push and maybe get the 1, I think there. They're not necessarily looking back enough. So immediately in this kind of combination, you need to be thinking, what is the play? What combination do I need to get in to win the race? And what blue are going to be thinking in this situation is they're going to be thinking, well, we need a 1-2, because we've got a boat who's spinning on the start line. They're a long way back. And red are going to be thinking, okay, we need to try and get into a 2-3-4 combination. That's our stable winning combination. So there you can see that blue boat who's all the way back there. It's not great for blue unless they can get that 1-2 combination. So the blue boat in 1 wants to slow down the red boat in 2 really quickly, really effectively, and get his teammate through. So then they can push forward with a 1-2 combination. So he's going low on the reach here to try and luff that red boat, try and get underneath them and luff them out of the way. But the red boat thinks they can maybe roll over the top of him, and his teammate in blue thinks he can roll over both of them. So in these light winds, boat speed is key, because that's going to be what lets you do these kind of maneuvers. But they don't quite have the momentum to make it. So that blue boat in third ducks back down underneath. They're maybe thinking, actually, I'll try and get inside the mark trap. But again, they've lost so much speed in that manoeuvre, so they're not going to have the momentum to get inside there either. So they're trying to maybe think about going inside, but they don't have room, so they end up having to push high above the red boat. So blue in 1 is going to have to try again to try and get his teammate through. And all this time, the red boats in 4 and 5 are catching up on the race. The red boat in 2 goes for a big luff on the blue boat in 3, but doesn't quite manage to push him all the way up. I think that red boat is worried about the blue boat rolling him. So it jibes back, ready to jibe back again and try and catch them on starboard again. Now, what the red boat in 2 realises here is that the blue boat in 1 is going a bit slowly. So they decide to attack forwards. They're going for a port starboard there. They've hailed. There's been a protest, I think. And the umpires are deciding what it's going to be. The red boat thinks that there's been a port starboard incident, but the umpires give it a green flag. And in this time, by pushing forward to attack the blue boat in 1, they haven't focused on that blue boat behind, who is now catching up with them. And that red boat's done a very, very aggressive port starboard luff on the blue boat that was previously in 1. And there's been some kind of contact. There's a red flag, and that red flag is for the red boat. So now it's a 1-2 combination for blue if that blue boat can get to the Mark III before that red boat in 4-5. And they're going so slowly because that red boat has fouled them. And in fact, can't see it in shot here, but I was told that there was a black flag flown for that red boat who got that penalty, infringing in such a way that it may have been a race-altering incident. But this blue boat, now it's a port starboard as they're coming into the zone, and it is clear that that blue boat is never going to get round the front there. But they don't make any avoiding action. They're so set on trying to get round their opponents in red that they let themselves get a penalty and let red sail right back into this race. And in fact, they don't even take a voluntary spin. We can see an umpire there again with a red flag giving them a non-voluntary spin. So that's our 3rd non-voluntary spin in a race, which is a lot of spins to be seeing from 2 good teams. And a key point from this race is really, if you're in the wrong, take a spin for it immediately and don't be throwing flags around for no reason. You should always have a reason for your flags, and if you think you've infringed, it's much, much quicker to take 1 spin than 2. A blue boat does a jibe back here. They're trying to get their teammate through, compress the race. They're not confident because of the big gap in a play 4 with a short final beat, so they're trying to compress, maybe go for a bit of carnage or to try and get a 1-2 combination. The red boats in 2 and 3 continue to be doing the kind of red boat tactic we've seen from this race, which looks to be that they're trying to do a little bit too much. Both of those red boats are looking like they want to try and sail through the boat in 1. They're looking to try and be a hero in the race, when actually at this point in the race they need to be sailing fast towards the finish, looking for the shift, which this blue boat in 5 is doing a really good job of. They caught up after they had that really slow start, and they're sailing into the pressure on the right hand side, and they focus on their fundamentals to get their boat speed up, and they are through both of those red boats who were ahead of them before, because no one was on top of them, no one covered them, no one stuck with their pair. And I think that kind of sums up how this race has gone, which is that in the pre-start, no one was watching the conditions around them enough, which is why people were late and why people weren't able to get a good start. So my number 1 key point from this race is taking the conditions, always focus on your boat speed before anything else. My number 2 point is, as before, don't get those red flags wherever possible, and if you have infringed, take a penalty. And my number 3 key point is that you don't need to try and be a hero. You need to trust your teammates to do their job. That red boat on the run shouldn't have gone for that aggressive manoeuvre, which almost gave blue a 1-2, and should have instead carried on hitting back on 3 and relied on their teammates catching up. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more.